Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. I think we are 2 minutes late, so I'll just quickly give an intro about Harini Shankar. So Harini, she is a very seasoned technology leader. She has been specialized in automation testing, QA, and software development. So currently, she is serving as a director of technology at FINRA, Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, and she has been instrumental in transforming the testing landscape for various multi-million large-scale initiatives encompassing numerous micro applications. She has a proven record of leveraging cutting edge tools and methodologies to ensure efficiency, consistency, and high quality outcomes. With a strong background in DevOps and Agile environment, Harini has led and mentored teams of assurance engineers, enabling them to deliver seamless integration and validation of complex systems. Harini also holds a master's degree in software engineering and is a Microsoft certified professional. She is passionate about driving innovation and building resilient software systems. She is dedicated to sharing her insights and empowering teams to excel in the world of technology. So, beyond her corporate contributions, she is also a recognized thought leader, speaker, and mentor in technology industry. She is committed to shaping the future of software quality, automation, and regulatory technology. She continues to lead initiatives that enhance software reliability, security, and compliance while influencing the broader technology landscape through mentorship, research, and thought leadership. So now she's going to talk about scaling test automation in RegTech, strategies to balance innovation and integrity. Over to you, Harini.
Thank you, Suresh. Thank you for the introduction. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. Okay. For some reason, I'm not able to pick the window. I don't see the window actually.
So just come out of the full screen and you should be able to see the
Okay.
blue icons.
Yeah, that's correct. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I can see it. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, Harini, yeah.
Are you seeing the play mode or?
Maybe challenges in, yeah, it's full screen. Yeah, it's a demo.
Yeah, let me go back to the first one. Okay. Okay, so I think we can. Okay, we can get started. So, okay, so hello everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Harini and I'm a director in technology at FINRA. And in this talk, we will be looking at scaling test automation in regulatory technology space, commonly known as RegTech industry. And in this, we are not going to be focusing just on the automation part, but we are going to be looking at the balance between innovation and when it comes to integrity, that is very important in the regulatory industries. So we'll look at a quick agenda here. So we're going to be first talking about why regulatory technology demands a different kind of an approach. And we'll be talking about challenges that organizations are facing. And we will also talk about how we try to strategize these things by building unified regression suite, and also how testing data in real-time systems can help in addition to the actual automation effort, and how to shift left without sacrificing governance. And then we'll be talking about how to balance innovation and integrity. And finally, we'll be talking about a few lessons and the best practices from hands-on experience. Okay, so why does RegTech need a unique QA approach? So generally, regulatory systems are built on real-time data, and they can have like strict compliance requirements, and they also have like high operational stakes. For example, testing in this context, right? So it needs more than just the functional correctness alone. So it must also deliver traceability, for example, if there are any audits. And in such scenarios, it's difficult for traditional QA practices to keep up, and they can easily fall short. In highly regulated environments like financial technology, it could also be relevant to healthcare. The reliability of systems, it directly impacts how people trust the systems, and we as quality assurance people, we become really enabler for engineering as well as the compliance needs. Okay, so let's look at the challenges of test automation. So we'll be talking about four main challenges here. And these challenges, they tend to surface whenever we are automating test cases. So the first one is systems interconnectivity, right? So these kind of systems, they can be highly integrated. That we are going to be seeing a lot of APIs, a lot of integrated teams, a lot of microservices, and the cloud architecture itself, it is like deeply coupled in these kind of systems. And to test these, we need to come up with end-to-end schema validation, and not just unit or integrated tests. That alone is not sufficient. And in addition to that, there is going to be a lot of real-time data flow that happens between these systems. So we need to be really precise when it comes to testing. And even few seconds delay or loss of validation can result in like really difficult situations. And there are also, like, in addition to that, auditability, right? So we will need logs, metadata, and test evidence, and we want to make sure that we are able to store those. So in case like there is some audit or something happening, we are able to gather all the information, and it's able to pass those things as well. So now that we saw the challenges of test automation, I'll just go through like a couple of strategies that organizations can follow to really make their validation process more robust, so that it is like failure proof. The first strategy we are talking about is and this is like something that we used, which is the unified regression suite. So as we saw, we are going to be dealing with a lot of micro applications here. We are going to have a lot of systems, and in order to support these and to scale with the complexity and all that, we created something called as a unified regression suite. And one of the major goal here is there can be multiple systems as the system is evolving. So the scalability should be like very important when it comes to the actual automation. And we also had few other goals, right? So how are we going to be handling parallel runs across the environments? And for example, cross-browser validation. So how are we going to achieve that? And how can we integrate all these deeply into CI/CD pipelines, for example? So instead of just concentrating on these, there are also we also had to take this as a central automation framework, so that we are able to deliver more maturity and consistency across these distributed systems. And we use this for ensuring that we are able to validate functionally, performance, security aspects, and also integration. And this was also directly integrated to the Jenkins pipelines itself. And any secrets that you're storing, like it could be passwords or anything like that, those would be stored separately using Quetstash. And in order to create users dynamically for our testing, we also had to use a different tool that was available, and we had to call those APIs to do that. And in addition to that, it also has Jira integration, where you're able to publish all the results, execution, and things like that. And we also ensured that each test, it includes metadata, like such as test IDs, any timestamps, ownership, so that it is audit friendly. And onboarding applications was also like pretty streamlined. So any new application that is going to be onboarding to the system, they are able to easily leverage unified regression suite's capabilities. So by using this, we were able to go from uh, days to hours for testing. And then we are going to be talking about the next strategy. And this is again going to be in addition to what we saw before. So although we saw that Unified Regression Suite, it provides a solid foundation. When it comes to the real-time systems itself, there is additional complexity involved. So what are we talking about here, right? So it means we need to validate, for example, message sequencing, if there is any latency or data completeness and things like that. So that is one aspect. And the second aspect is we want to make sure that there are no messages that are, like, for example, missing in any of the event streams. And monitoring should be there end to end, right? Right from the data ingestion phase to the data storage phase. So to simulate real world, we could use synthetic data. And this synthetic data, I mean, it's not real-time data, it's generated data. So it is used to represent, so you're going to be mimicking the actual real-time scenario here. So this could be done by, for example, you would be mimicking scenarios like submissions or any kind of anomalies in the database, especially when there is high traffic. So for doing this, contract testing can be used between microservices and also across cross-layer validations, where it's going to be ensuring that the data is highly integrated throughout the end-to-end pipeline itself. And in addition to this, there is the next approach, which is shift left. Most of the companies are following shift left approaches. And again, we're going to be talking about something similar here. So how do we shift left without sacrificing governance? So when it comes to shift left, early testing is essential for any software application. And by shifting left, we are able to identify issues earlier in the process without causing any gaps later in the process. So in order to address this, compliance and security requirements are integrated into the earlier phases of the activities, like sprint planning and grooming meetings, so that whenever test scenarios are created, you will also be having parallel scenarios that you're going to be thinking about any audit or any kind of security. Instead of thinking about it later in the process, you're trying to embed it as soon as possible in the process. And for this, we can also leverage tools like SonarQube, check marks, and using these tools, we are able to have static code analysis. It's going to help us identify any kind of challenges earlier in the process. And there are like additional tools that I've mentioned here, but another one that I can think about is Black Duck, for example, where it's going to be identifying any kind of vulnerabilities in the application earlier in the process, so that if we are going to be using any third-party libraries, it's going to be mentioning that there is some kind of a vulnerability before even the application is deployed to production, and before even like any security kind of issues pop up in production. So these kind of measures, it's going to ensure that governance is not coming in the last minute. Rather, we are thinking about it and it's embedded into the cycle itself right from the beginning. Okay, so now that we saw different kind of approaches that we can implement, we're going to be talking about how we can balance innovation and integrity. So innovation in RegTech, it only works when there is integrity, right? So when we are able to preserve integrity, then both of them go hand in hand. Compliance is actually very, very important. It's a core requirement, and it needs to be thought about right since the beginning. And it should be a part of definition of done, and it should be linked to the actual user stories, test cases itself. And I would say that it is a total mindset shift. And the results through like tools such as Jira or Azure test plans. So we want to make sure that everything is embedded end to end. And to enable rapid experimentation without any kind of risks, we want to make sure that the tests are isolated, using, like, for example, mock testing, and we are able to deploy feature toggles, right? Whenever we are going to be incrementally rolling out changes, feature toggles, they come in handy. And in addition to that, if you're able to use sandbox environments to test like any kind of niche scenarios without impacting production, then it would definitely be a good idea to have like some kind of environments where we are able to simulate those kind of scenarios. So by doing this, we are able to move much faster, and we are able to do this responsibly as well. So that's what we mean here by isolating test environments, using mocks and stubs for safe experimentation. So next, I'm going to be moving to lessons learned and best practices. So when we talk about lessons learned and best practices, right? So what I want to mention here is all the tests should be designed with audits in mind, and it shouldn't be coming in the last minute. So we want to make sure that every automated test, it produces traceable logs and results like we saw before, so that we are able to audit, we are in a better shape when it comes to any kind of audits. And it's also a good idea to include a metadata, like, for example, any test case IDs or any requirements, timestamps, owners of tests, and storing any historical execution records, right, for any kind of reviews. And again, this can totally depend on organizations. Not all the organizations may need it, but when we're looking at regulatory kind of industries, be it finance or healthcare, it's always a good idea to think about these sooner than later. And the next one is to train the engineers who understand that the regulatory landscape, it's more about like, building systems that are compliant. And we also need to have like cross training sessions between QA, quality assurance, and dev teams, so that they are able to identify the risks earlier in the process. And it is also a good idea to create dashboards. So these dashboards would be showing real-time trends, which is like, pass, fail, and any kind of critical scenarios that can improve visibility for leadership purposes. And the other one, which is the most important one, is synthetic data generation tools, where you could use these tools to generate data in lower environments, so that you're able to generate scenarios, simulate edge cases without exposing data in production. Or this could also be a manual effort where you're having teams that are having more information on how data goes about, right? For example, product, with the help of them, create data so that you're able to mimic real-time scenarios, so that you're able to identify any kind of critical issues earlier in the process. And so to summarize, I want to mention that when it comes to scaling test automation, it is not just about writing test cases or adopting to tools. We want to make sure that we are able to build repeatable and resilient systems that can evolve with any changes, considering governance and auditory aspects in mind. So I would, want to wrap up here, and I want to thank for this wonderful opportunity. And I'll hand it over to any questions. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Harini. So, a couple of questions. Okay. So, what original frameworks or innovation have you developed that transform the test automation in your organization?
Yeah, so for when it comes to the framework, I would say Unified Regression Suite that we just saw, which is a modular, it's a cross application framework that is adopted enterprise wide. And using this, we were able to enable scalable parallel testing, reusable components, and also integration that was more seamless with, for example, Jira and any other cross-browser testing tools that that are on the market. And this helped to reduce any redundancies by, I would say, like around 40 to 50%. And it was also able to help standardize automation across like critical applications, and we were able to increase the speed of releases and also enhance the overall reliability.
Alright. So, how did your leadership scale QA practices across multiple mission critical applications and teams?
Yeah, so I would say like I led automation across more than like 40 to 50 different critical platforms. And I also institutionalized test strategy templates, built like leadership, and introduce centers of excellence, especially when it comes to quality assurance. And yeah, and for example, I was taking care of major applications that are used in regulatory by the financial most of the financial institutions that they have to comply to regulatory measures.
Okay, couple of more questions. So, how has your automation strategy improved quality outcomes and influence engineering decisions at an enterprise level?
Okay, so for this one, I would say my strategy has been more of shift left testing and scaling regression tests. In addition to that, contract validation testing. So by using these, we were able to reduce production defects by around like 60%. And we were able to accelerate releases. And in addition to that, I was also a part of an AI effort, which was more of an R&D initiative, where we were trying to identify models for automatically commenting on code, actual developer code, be it Python, Java, whatever. And by using this, I was able to influence FINRA's selection of actual AI platform that is able to help speed up releases. Yeah.
Okay, one final question. So, what measurable results demonstrate the impact of your test automation initiatives across the organization?
Okay, so for this one, I would say my initiatives, they led to more than like 60% reduction in production defects by using the strategies that we saw here. And again, since we are using a lot of automation here, the regression cycles were way faster. We were able to increase the regression cycles by 40 to 50%. The test coverage, it improved drastically, like up to 80% across the major systems. And using the unified regression suite, we were also able to enable a lot of teams, I would say like 15 to 20 teams, to onboard into the platform within weeks. And it also helped us drastically improve the confidence of the releases.
All right. Yeah, I think that's all from our side. I don't
Okay.
think there are any further questions. So thanks a lot, Harini. I think this is a great session, and thanks for all your effort. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Suresha. Thank you for the opportunity.